Hello and welcome to Sonder. My name is Maggie and I am a knitter, sewist, general crafter, and new doctor living here in Denver, Colorado. How is everyone? It has been a very long time since I have been able to come on here and record for you all and for myself and kind of take time to reflect on what's been going on with me and what I've been making and yeah, what's been going on. I don't even know where to begin. So much has happened since we saw each other last. And I thought that it would be interesting to actually reflect on Sonder, on the word Sonder. This is a concept that I brought up very early on. It might have been my first video ever, which I don't think you should go watch because it's probably really embarrassing. But yeah, the term Sonder and the reason why I wanted to name the podcast Sonder, it's so special to me and important to me. And so I thought that I would actually just read the definition of Sonder because it's so abstract that it's hard for me to even talk about. So let me read this. So Sonder is a noun. The realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own, populated with their own ambitions, friends, routines, worries, and inherited craziness. An epic story that continues invisibly around you like an anthill, sprawling deep underground with elaborate passageways to thousands of other lives that you'll never know existed, in which you might appear only once as an extra sipping coffee in the background, as a blur of traffic passing on the highway, as a lighted window at dusk. Oh, I just love that. I love the thought that we are all interconnected, yet everybody that we pass by is living a life that's complex and different and its own. And I've just been thinking about that a lot because I've been going through a lot and it's been hard for me to come on here and record because I feel like life right now for the last 20 months has been so challenging, and the last thing I want to do is come on here and talk about things that are depressing. But truthfully, my life has been not great for the last couple of months. A lot of things have happened, a lot of things that I don't necessarily want to get into, but yeah, when I left you, I was in the pediatric ICU, so the pediatric intensive care unit, and now I'm in the medical ICU, and it's just been a really strange time to be a doctor, honestly, right now. I have watched so many patients die, and truthfully, at least in the adult wards, most of the patients that I have watched die have died of COVID. And it's weighing on me. It's, you know, it's hard to watch this continue to happen over and over and over again. And we have a vaccine now, and yeah, it just hurts, you know, that so many people are still continuing to go unvaccinated and put themselves at risk and put those in their community at risk. It's just something that I can't really wrap my brain around. And then on top of that, we had a lot of just tragedy in our own personal lives. One of my best friends died very suddenly and very unexpectedly, and dealing with sort of the trauma at work on top of my own personal sorrow, it's just been really hard. And I guess with the thought of Sonder and the thought that all of us are living our own lives, I just would call out to everyone that, you know, if someone is mean to you in a coffee line or rude or short, just remember that we are all going through a lot right now, and people's lives may be even more challenging than you might have thought. So that's the hard things that have been going on with me. I think it's interesting being a doctor, and I've talked to my husband about this, because when I say I've had a hard day at work, it means something very different than when he talks about having a hard day at work. And I don't want to minimize other people's challenges, but a hard day at work for me generally means that a patient of mine died. And as the physician, you know, in the United States, we are the ones who have to call time of death. And for each death, I really try to be there for my patients and for their families. And it's an emotional toll. It's one that I am very, very happy to take on, and I feel so overwhelmed with gratitude that I have the opportunity to help families mourn and come to terms with what's going on. But the longer we go in this pandemic, the emotional burden of so much loss is profound. And so yeah, it's just interesting because I feel like, at least in Colorado, a lot of people are acting kind of as if the pandemic is over. And being a healthcare worker, it's very visceral that it is not over, and it gets frustrating. I don't know. It's just hard. It's been hard. But there have been really amazing things that have been going on in my life in the last few months, namely that me and my husband are having a baby, which is crazy. So yeah, this will be my first baby. Obviously, I guess, I don't know, you wouldn't know that I didn't have kids, but yeah, this is my first baby. I am about, I think, 16 weeks pregnant now. I can show you my little bump is just starting to form. None of my pants really fit anymore, except for these very stretchy yoga type pants. But yeah, I am 16 weeks pregnant, so I am just sort of beginning into my second trimester. And whoo, boy, was the first trimester a doozy. I mean, I think part of it is that I was working 28-hour shifts every 4 or 5 days. And so there was so much vomiting. Like, I don't think anybody prepared me for the sheer amount of vomiting that I would be forced to withstand over the course of those 3.5 months. And honestly, I'm still pretty nauseous and still like on the verge of vomiting at any moment, even now. I found that like my need to vomit really happens when I'm hungry, even a little bit. And so for me, the term morning sickness, like, it is all day, and I think a lot of pregnant women have mentioned that it's all day long, but for me, it truly is the worst when I first wake up, because I haven't slept, or I haven't eaten in those like 8 hours that I've been sleeping, and I wake up just like ravenous, but in a way that I'm like very, very nauseous because I'm so hungry, and I've kind of like surpassed the part of hunger where you're like kind of hungry, you know? And so there's a lot of just like dry heaving in the morning, and like, yeah, I won't go into it more deeply than that, because I think you guys are, you all have fully developed frontal lobes and can imagine what my mornings look like. But yeah, there's been a lot of Zofran that has been regulating the nausea in and around my body. So yeah, holy cow, it's been so cool. I've had my first couple of ultrasounds. We've like gotten to see the baby kind of like moving, and the heartbeat obviously and all that. And they are growing and growing and growing, and everything looks healthy so far. We chose to do the sort of like cell-free DNA where you find out any like chromosomal abnormalities and things like that, and they do not have any of those. But you can also find out the sex, And I say sex, I feel like a lot of people use the term gender reveal, and I just want us all to remember that sex and gender are different. And this baby's sex at birth, we are gonna decide to not find out. I think that it is really fun, and most of my family hasn't found out like the sex of the baby until the day of, and I think talking to my mom and my aunt and stuff, it seems to like help with the labor a little bit, even though I am like, you know, I am like gonna get an epidural as soon as possible. I am like not looking to be stoic or to have a totally natural birth, and like power to you if that is your birth plan and your birth story, but like I am not that strong of a woman. I don't think I can do it, especially not for my first one. Woo! So if you are doing that, like, wow, I commend you, and also not for me. I'm like, I want this to be well controlled, and yeah, I like want to go as long as I can, but I'm like fully aware that I will be getting an epidural at some point in this process, probably pretty early. But anyway, really went down a little rabbit hole there, didn't we? But yeah, so we are not finding out the sex, and so we're getting very used to using they, them pronouns, which is fun. And all of our older family members are getting very used to they, them pronouns as well. So it's a good practice for our non-binary folks. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been wild. It's really hard because when you're a doctor, especially a young doctor, sort of early in your training, you're still working tremendous amounts of hours with very, very few days off. And so it's just been like, I don't know, I was watching this other YouTube vlog, and it was a woman who was pregnant, and she was talking about like how thankful she was that she could just like build her own schedule and like decide not to go to work today. And I just was like, fuck you, which sounds horrible. Like that is so great for her. But my like strong jealousy really kicked in, and I was just like, yeah, so God bless America, you know. It's an interesting place to live, especially as a woman, especially as a pregnant woman, especially when they're like making laws in states that, anyway, I won't get into it. But I have quite a bit of crafting to talk to you about. Truthfully, not as much as I feel like I would normally have for a like 3 to 4 month period, but I got into like a real knitting and reading slump in the last few months. And a big part of that, I think, was losing our very good friend and just having a tremendous amount of sorrow, and then having just like the fatigue and nausea. I essentially just like laid on the couch for 4 months and didn't do anything. And I feel like I'm just now kind of like burrowing back into the real world. So yeah, let's jump into it. I will start off by talking about what I'm wearing, which I think I'm gonna have to take this off because I'm very warm. It is the 18th of November, yet it still hasn't snowed here in Denver, Colorado. It snowed in the mountains a lot. Like it's already snowed several times up in Steamboat, where I'm actually from. But down here in the Front Range, it's still like, I don't know, 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny, and I am ready for the snow. I'm ready for the cold weather. All the leaves have fallen off the trees. At this point, I'm just like, come on, let's go. I'm ready. But so anyway, I don't know if I'll be able to wear this for very long. So this is the Montana Mountain Cowl, which is by, I think this is by Andrea Mowry. And I knit this in Spin Cycle yarns, and then another yarn that's kind of like a beautiful green. And then I'm also wearing my Kess cardigan by Mary Tanaka, which I made out of some farm yarn from little sheep that live in the valley that I grew up in. So I love this thing. I'm like, I don't know. I keep bouncing back and forth between like, I really want a complex cable thing to make and I really want color work, but I think I'm more on the I really want color work phase right now. So, let's jump right into some finished objects. I'm just gonna reach over. Sorry, that was awkward. I've been gone long enough that I have a lot of little things I want to talk about. All right, so this is the Sanguine Sweater. And I don't remember who made this, but obviously I'll put all of the information. I knit this for my husband out of 5 different colors of Brooklyn Tweed's DK weight yarn. And he has already worn this several times, many times, and it's holding up really well. It's really beautiful. I actually knit the same sweater out of a different yarn, and the colors bled so much that I was so worried to wash this thing and block it. But happy to share that, of course, Brooklyn Tweed will not let us down, and none of the colors bled at all. Especially I was worried about like the red right next to the white, because that was just a disaster. Honestly, all of them were a disaster in the last one, but yeah, I love it. Sean loves it. It looks great on him. Men's sweaters, oh my gosh, they're just so long. Like, I feel like he's definitely bigger around than I am, but he just keeps like going and going and going. That knitting sweaters for him, I'm just like so bored by the end, but this is a great sweater, particularly for people who are new to color work, because none of the floats are very long and it's all just a repeating motif. But I really like that what they did is repeat the motif, but I think there are there are 3 pattern motifs and many more colors than that. And so it makes it so that each stripe, even though it's the same pattern, it's different colors. And I just felt like that was a really cool way to kind of move through the colors. It's very like 90s retro, and Sean looks great in it and he loves it. And because it's DK weight and an all over colorwork sweater, it is quite warm. And so yeah, he is getting a lot of wear out of it, and I'm sure we'll get a lot more as the weather finally turns to winter. Just gonna take a quick sip. I'm drinking some, what is this? Some yogi tea, and it is I think it's peppermint. I don't know why I didn't just smell it. Like, yes, it's peppermint tea. And that is truthfully the only finished object I have. Everything else are works in progress. I feel like as I fell further and further and further into this kind of knitting slump, I just started to like cast on more and more things in hopes that like something would catch my eye. But I want to move on to a very special work in progress. And this is being housed in a Christmas bag that I made, which, okay, I know it's like not even Thanksgiving in the United States yet, and normally I wait until Thanksgiving, but like with everything that's been going on in the world, I just needed a little bit more holiday presents a little earlier because I love Christmas time. And so I pulled out my Christmas bag that I made last year, and it has this old time motif on it and just like super kitschy, super ugly Christmas fabrics. It's ridiculous. I will be doing Vlogmas this year. I try to do it every year and I never do it successfully, but I'm gonna try again because I just think it's fun to kind of commemorate that time of year. And like, I think it makes me do more fun things because I'm like, ooh, I want to like have something fun to film, you know? And so this fabric all came from an advent calendar that I made. That's kind of a fabric advent calendar that I put little things in. And I made a couple of different project bags out of the leftovers from this. But what is in here is a make-along that I want to start. And it is not Christmas related, but it is holiday winter season related. And I'm gonna call it the like Sonder Holiday 2021 Mal. It's gonna be a really short one. So it's just gonna be from now until the 1st of January. And what I want is for you to make anything that will bring you joy during the holidays. It can be holiday related, or it can be not holiday related in any way. It just has to be finished within that time and has to bring you joy. So maybe we'll call it, let's call it, I don't know. I don't know what to choose, but I want you to make something between now and the 1st of January or the end of the year that will just bring you a little bit of joy, because I feel like we all need some joy in our lives. And so we're gonna use the hashtag SonderJoy2021. And hopefully we can do this every year. It's gonna be really fast. The prize that I'm gonna do is a project bag, and I will make it not Christmassy. I will make it probably more like winter related, because obviously if you do not celebrate Christmas, you probably don't want like a super kitschy Santa bag. But I will make a really beautiful wintry bag. I actually went to Fancy Tiger Crafts and got some oiled linen or oiled cloth to put on the bottom in this really beautiful colorway, this buffalo check colorway. And I'll fill it with a bunch of goodies. So I've been making a lot of little things for Christmas, and my plan is to just make a little bit of extra of each of the things that I'm making for my family members and to put them in a bag and send it to you as a joyful holiday, wintertime, special little gift. So to participate, you just have to make something. It can be a work in progress that you just need to finish. It can be anything from like a tiny little ornament that you needle felted to like a sweater, and anything in between. So yeah, it'll be a make along. You can knit, you can crochet, you can needle felt, you can sew, you can, what else is there? You could paint something, you could embroider something, really any type of craft. You could bake something, like I don't care. I just want to fill my Instagram feed with like joy that everyone is doing through the holidays, because I just need that in my life. And yeah, you just need to tag SonderJoy2021, and I will pick one of the people who's tagged something and maybe show a bunch of pictures on here. And yeah, I just need some joy. And yeah. So I am going to be making a Christmas sweater, which I just started. Like I said, went to Fancy Tiger Crafts, and I got this beautiful yarn, which I think most people have heard about. It is Harrisville Designs in the Nightshades, and this particular colorway is the VCR colorway, and so it's mostly black. And then it just has bits of green. So it's sort of a like emerald green with mostly black. And I am knitting the Alaska sweater by Camille Descoteaux, which that is a French last name that I likely mispronounced. But I'm knitting that. It is a top-down raglan, and then it has this beautiful pine tree motif around the bottom as well as around the arms. And I have already cast it on and I'm just knitting away. I've just separated the sleeves, so this is mine so far. So as you can see, I'm knitting the top part of the sweater in the Harrisville Designs Nightshades in the green VCR colorway. And I have this amazing Simply Serving Progress Keeper because no shame, it's a Santa Progress Keeper. It's November, I don't care. And then my plan is for the trees, I'm going to be holding together this little bit of mohair, sort of white cream mohair, with this Spin Cycle dyed in the wool. I think this is the Cold Comfort colorway, so it's just a very pale color. And my hope is that it will look kind of like beautiful, magical trees. And then I'm gonna choose one tree on the back, front, one tree on the back, and at least one tree on the sleeve to put beads. I have never knit with beads before, but I think it will look like the fairy lights, the sort of Christmas tree lights. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's like all I've ever wanted in a Christmas sweater. It's gonna be so kitschy and so ugly, but I don't know. I feel like it's gonna bring me so much joy. I feel like it's gonna be such a pain to knit with beads, but that's why I'm only doing it on one of the trees on each side. Like, I know myself enough to know that if I tried to do it on all of the trees, I would just not enjoy the process and be very frustrated. But yeah, so I'll have little Christmas leaves and or trees, and that will be my contribution to the Sonder Joy 2021 make along. I have a lot more that I'll probably be showing off for that, but I'm gonna wait until later on in the episode in case my family members are watching this. All right. To be honest, I think I probably won't talk about books this time because I haven't been reading that much. Most of what I've been reading is Harry Potter, just over and over again, because I've just needed a comforting hug, which I know that Harry Potter is not comforting for many people. However, for me personally, it is like where I go to, where I retire to when things have been really, really tough. And I just need to know that things are gonna be okay and everything's gonna turn out fine. And it's so comforting and so like, the story is something that taught me how to love reading. And so yeah, I've read like 4 Harry Potter books since we left one another, but other than that, like haven't read anything else other than Harry Potter. So I probably just won't talk about books, and I'll just, because I have so many more crafts to talk about. So the next thing I will talk about is being housed in the most thoughtful gift I've like ever gotten. This was a present that I got from Kat of the Heather and Hops podcast. I love her and her podcast. She was like the first person on the internet that I told I was pregnant, because I was having a lot of like, how do I talk about this when I'm like excited to be pregnant but hate being pregnant? And she gave me the courage to come back. So thanks, Kat. But anyway, she sent me this beautiful package a couple of months ago, and it had this and some of her beautiful yarn, which I'm going to be making into some slippers of my own because I'm just gonna copy her, and some tea and some other little goodies, tea that Alex had made, and oh, it was so thoughtful. And squirrels are my favorite animals. I just love them. I don't know what it is about them. Everybody is like, Maggie, they're just rats, but I don't think they're rats, and I think they're so cute, and they just sit there and they eat with their hands. Like, I just can't. They're so cute. And I think she knitted this or machine knitted it, but like, I want this colorwork motif on an actual sweater. So I might have to like write it down or ask her where she got it because it's incredible. But yeah, she made me this amazing bag, and in it is my current sock whip. So these I've been making for a while. This was a club colorway that I got called Indian Paintbrush, which is a wildflower here in the Western United States. And I have finished one sock and then cast on the little bits to the next sock. And I have a little pumpkin pie progress keeper on here from Lock and Lou. And yeah, just knitting away on these socks. I don't think socks, like every time I pull out a sock, I'm like, I don't really have much to say on this because it's just a sock, but it is in my current favorite project bag. The next thing I have to talk about is a Christmas present for my niece, Scotia. She is like the most knit-worthy person ever. Every time I make her anything, she always wears it to death, literally, until she grows out of it. She will wear it over and over and over again. And so I am knitting her this sweater out of scraps. I made a shawl with this worsted weight yarn a couple of years ago. Pardon me, I just burped. And I really, really love this shawl, and had a bunch of just little bits and bobs left over, but it was enough to make like a child sweater. And so I cast on, and this is really not following a pattern. I just sort of cast on and hoped that it would fit, and made it very long because she's very tall, and just used some random stripes. And yeah, I just need to pick up for the sleeves and knit them, and then Skosh will have another Christmas sweater for the holiday season. So I really like it. She asked for a pink sweater, which I might still make her because she's so cute. But I have other nieces and nephews that I would like to knit for. So honestly, I just cast this on a day when I was having a really bad day, and just like knit and knit and knit, and it was very helpful. But then I knit on it for like a week, and I haven't touched it since. So it's kind of where I've been at lately. Like, I just knit things on. I've just been buying a lot of yarn, and I'm just like, fuck it, you know? All right, we're getting there, we're getting there. The next object I have to talk about, I am knitting out of Brooklyn Tweed Loft in the sweatshirt colorway. And this is my Forest Fairy jacket by Helena of, oh, I don't remember what her yarn company is, but she is a hand dyer and also has a beautiful book that just came out, but it's only in Norwegian, and I kind of want it anyway, but I'm also just like, wait, Maggie, it'll probably be in English. But anyway, I have, since we left, I have knit both sleeves, I have connected them, and I am just doing the decreases. And I love this. I think it's really beautiful. I love this berry motif. I think it'll be so wearable. It has like the classic Helena like puff sleeves, and it's so beautiful. I think the only thing that's giving me a little bit of like, huh, is that it's pretty tight fitting, and my belly is just going to continue to grow. And part of me is like, do I want to work on something that like I probably won't be able to wear once it's finished? But because it's a cardigan, I can wear it open, and so part of me is like, yes, you should, but I don't know. I haven't decided yet. My first trimester of pregnancy was so rough that I actually lost weight, and so I'm just now getting back to my pre-pregnancy weight, but I also don't fit into any of my pants anymore, so I'm in a weird spot, my friends. I'm in a weird spot. All right, the next thing I'm going to talk about are a couple of shawls that I have cast on. You heard it correctly, my friends. I like almost never knit shawls, and honestly, it's like I love wearing shawls and I love having shawls, but I hate knitting shawls because it's so much knitting, and I just think like the rows get to be so long that you're just like, but I have been watching everybody knit the half and half triangles wrap. This has been inspired by Cady Jax Knits, which I like randomly came across their podcast literally on their first episode and have watched religiously since then. I just love their like witty banter and their friendship. It's so beautiful. So anyway, I cast it on because I needed something really easy to work on right after our friend passed, and something that I could just get lost in miles and miles of stockinette, or I guess in this case garter stitch, and something I didn't have to worry about or think about, and I could just be sort of meditating on my grief. So yeah, it's been a time. So I am knitting this out of the called for yarn, which is, I have my second color. This was in the Kiln Red colorway, which is this really beautiful, I would say it's more like orangey, more orange than red. And clearly I will need to roll that up later. But this is, I'm sure that you have all seen this, but it is knit entirely in short rows, back and forth. And I have knit a lot, but I still have a lot to go. It's like gonna be massive, but I love it so much. It's so squishy, it's so simple. I really, really love this yarn. It's really complex. And my second color, this is like the one I think that the original pattern is actually knit in, the colorways, is this bright poppy red. I anticipate that I will probably be working on this a lot over the sort of Christmas season, particularly when I go back up to Steamboat for about a week and a half and have time to spend with family, because it's just so simple. I can set it down, I can pick it up. I don't have to worry about it, I don't have to count anything. You just like go, go, go. So I'm really enjoying it, but it's also like quite boring because it's like just garter stitch flat. But I would say boring is not the right word. It's very soothing and very meditative, but sometimes I really want something I can like sink my teeth into and be distracted by. And I would say that that is not a project that is distracting in any way. It really allows you to sit and meditate on what's going on in your life and think about things. And for me, that was really helpful to have something to keep my hands busy while also being able to reflect on what was going on in my life. So the last current whip that I have is something that I cast on a whim, because that's what I seem to do with everything. And this is the mystery knit along that Stephen West did. Yeah, I am not very far. This is something that I think I want to finish. Like, I really like the finished object. I feel like a lot of people are kind of like iffy, but it's just so much knitting that I know that it's not something I'm going to be super gravitating towards going forward. So I'm kind of like, what to do with this? But I really love this. It's all in yarns from my stash, many of which I don't even remember what they were, but I am just deep into the second clue. I loved knitting these welts. So yeah, I really like it. I think that it's something that I would wear quite a bit. It kind of is so ugly that I think it's beautiful type of thing, you know, like it's not expected, which it's Stephen West, so of course it's not expected, but yeah, I think it's so weird that I'm like really into it. And so I would like to finish it, but I'm also just recognizing that I have a tendency to not finish Stephen West's mystery knit-alongs, so we'll see what happens. That is all of the current works in progress I had, but I did want to go over some future whips that I'm planning on casting on here shortly. Part of it is things that I want to work on for Christmas, or just things that I'm really needing for winter time, and part of it is also to show off some beautiful yarn that I've gotten. So I'll start off by showing these. So I am part of the Sweet Sparrow Yarns, like Celtic knitting community, her colorways, and so I get them every month, and they're these beautiful sock yarns. This one is called Samhain, and this one is called Spiced Apples, and they're just beautiful sock yarns, and each one also comes with a progress keeper and a little story description, and I just love them. So I definitely want to knit these into socks for me, because I don't have anything that's this color, and I think it would be really, really beautiful as like a cabled sock, which then I may never finish it, but I just think it would be really pretty. And then this one, since I'm knitting on these orange socks for myself, I might actually knit this up into a baby sweater for little baby Kuus. Because I feel like orange is a very gender neutral color, which, like, truthfully, I don't care about gender and colors, but some people do. But still, I think this would make a really cute little baby sweater, like a little flax light sweater or something. And then I also picked up this Fancy Tiger Crafts yarn, and this is from Farmer's Daughters Fibers in the like Fancy Tiger colorway. Fancy Farmers tiger, and I just love it. It's so dirty, and I kind of want to make myself, I'm very gassy apparently. I kind of want to make myself a DK weight pair of socks out of this, because I've never had a DK weight pair of socks, and I really, really want one because they look so squishy and so comfortable. And then, of course, my Marie Wallin knit along is still waiting for me. I'm really, really excited about this. I think last time I had shown this to you and shown you the swatch, the one thing I didn't like was the combination of these yarns together. And I ordered another yarn. So this is the Spindrift Buttermilk. And I think this will be much, much better and a much more subtle and beautiful combination. So I'm really excited to cast this on. I don't know why I haven't yet. I think it's just because I've been, like, my mind has been everywhere. But yeah, it's just been hard. It's been a hard few months, but I'm hoping that I can cast that on as my Christmas Eve cast on, because I just feel like it is so fun and so beautiful. Or maybe my like New Year's Eve cast on, I don't know, something like that I think would be really fun to start right in the new year and have it be like the project, overarching project that carries me through 2022. Also because I am so psyched on cardigans these days, because I have no idea, like I know that my belly is about to get humongous, and so pullovers, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. But I also have some other yarns. So I am a Patreon of Knitwear, and I was obsessed with their most recent update and got a bunch of yarns that I want to make a couple different Christmas gifts out of / things for me. So the two for me, the first is I really want to make the Ghostwood Mittens by Kyomi Burgin out of this, which is their kind of orange, the exact opposite. It's their sort of like dusty blue colorway that has these really complex, of course all of Knitwear's yarn is really complex, but it has like bright blues and pinks and purples. It's gorgeous. So I already obviously wound this up and am planning on casting on those mittens for myself because I really need some mittens. I don't have any mittens for me. I've knitted mittens for other people, but I don't have any hand knit mittens for me, and so I want some. The other thing I want to cast on for myself is another Oslo hat, which I have right here, my Oslo hat that I knit out of Knitwear yarn, and I love, love, love this hat. I can show you, except for my hair is up, but it's a really, really comfortable hat, and I love the fact that it is this like triple brim, but then the top is only one single layer, and so it's really, really warm around your ears, but actually allows for some air movement. And so I want another one in this beautiful creamy colorway that I got from them. It's mostly cream, but then it has like bright pops of like bright pink and bright orange, and then also some like darker fur mixed in as well. So, so gorgeous. I find it's always so hard to show off Knitwear yarn. It's something that I feel like you kind of have to see in person. I feel like that is the most realistic representation. So pretty. So I'm gonna knit myself an Oslo hat, and then I'm also knitting my husband an Oslo hat in their brown colorway that they came out with this year. And then I'm also planning to knit Sean. Petite Knit has the like zipper sweatshirt that I want to knit Sean out of the like really beautiful rustic green. So pretty. I kind of doubt I'm going to be able to finish this before Christmas, but we'll see. Dare to dream. Dare to dream. And then what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping to have a little bit of leftovers of each one and combine them, and maybe the leftovers I have from my other Knitwear purchases, into making a kind of Knitwear colorwork sweater, using these as kind of the colorwork. That's just a thought, but I just love their yarn. It's so, so beautiful to knit with. All right. So that is all of the non-Christmas related, non-Christmas present, even though some of those are Christmas presents, but Sean never has a surprise because he lives with me. So everything else that I have to talk about is all going to be very like Christmas present related. So if you are related to me in any way or friends with me, then please stop watching, because you may have a gift coming in the mail and I don't want anybody to be spoiled. So, goodbye. All right, so I honestly am probably not gonna do a whole lot of knitting for people for this year for Christmas, because I never finish everything. It's always really stressful, and truthfully, like, I wanna be able to knit on what I wanna knit on when I wanna knit it, which, like, part of the Knitwear knitting for Sean is actually that I love this yarn so much that I think the act of knitting with it at this time will bring me so much joy that it's selfish in a way, because it's like I'm getting to knit with the yarn. But I am planning to sew a lot more this year and to make a bunch of other type of crafty things for people. So, let me start off with this. So at the end of the podcast, I will be putting up some videos about this, but maybe it'll be easier if I just show it off. This is soap that I make. So I really enjoy the process of making cold process soap, and this is soap that I made about a week ago now. It is this really nourishing and like has a great lather soap that I make in the cold process method, which is essentially when you make lye water and then add that to your sort of fats and you emulsify them together. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. This I use orange essential oils as well as some orange powder, and it's a little bit exfoliating. And oh my gosh. And then to make it a little bit more Christmassy, I actually put some crushed clove on the top of it as just a little decoration. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. So yeah, I made a bunch of these, and when you make cold process soap, you have to let it cure for about 4 to 6 weeks before you can use it. And so I'm trying to decide how many gifts I will need, but I want to give everybody a little piece of soap. And then I am also planning on making some like bath bombs and maybe some hand-dipped candles, some hand-dipped beeswax candles, things like that, just like little things that will bring you some joy and some comfort. So those are the types of things that you can expect to see in the gift for the Sonder Joy 2021 make-along. And then I have a bunch of little fabric scraps left over from when I was busily making a lot of wedding presents this year. But I'm actually planning on making these into quilted bags. So it'll be kind of like this. And then I'm planning on adding a zip to it, but it will be a very simple bag. So I'm not gonna make the bottom, normally I make it like a box bottom, but these I'm just gonna keep just like this. And my thought is to give these to the women in my family so that they can have a cute little pouch to kind of like put their makeup and things like that in. So yeah, I'm gonna be making a bunch of those. And then the other thing that I'm planning on is making a bunch of Christmas tree skirts. So I already made one, but essentially how it works in the US at least is that we usually have a Christmas tree, and then around the bottom of the Christmas tree, to cover up the Christmas tree stand, you put usually some sort of fabric, and I am planning on making a bunch of those for Christmas. So I already ordered a ton of Christmas fabric, like very kitschy Christmas fabric, and some like Hanukkah fabric, because both my brother-in-law and my father-in-law, or sorry, both my brother-in-law and my stepfather are Jewish, and so they celebrate Christmas with us, but we also celebrate Hanukkah, obviously. And they're good sports, but I feel like it'd be fun to have some of them with like a little bit of Hanukkah, you know. It's a mixed family. But this is what the Christmas tree skirt will look like. So it's kind of this star that will wrap around the Christmas tree. So you can see the Christmas tree goes in the center here and wraps around. I love all of the fabrics. I've got a bunch of different kind of fabrics, so each one will be slightly different. And this is just the first one that I made, and I think it's so fun. So yeah, I'm gonna make a bunch of these. They don't take very long, and honestly, I think once I really get to it and just make a bunch of them, I'll be able to bust out several of them for people for the holidays. And I just feel like for like my mother-in-law and my mom and my sister and stuff, it'd just be really fun little things for them to take home and then have all year round, or all of the future years for Christmas. So those are some of the things. And then my husband is super, super into roasting coffee, which I think that we've already talked about and shown some shots of his roasted coffee. So we're planning on having roasted coffee and things like that. So a lot of the gifts that we give, all of the gifts that we give are all handmade. And yeah, a lot of thought and love and yeah, have gone into them. So I'm excited. It'll be fun, and yeah, have a lot of making to do. But with sewing, it's so much faster than knitting that I'm not worried about getting all of the sewing done before the holidays. I think it will be relatively easy because the next month that I have is a much, much more relaxed month at work. So looking forward to that and very thankful for that. All right. So yeah, like I said, I don't think I'm gonna be talking about, really, I don't think I'm gonna be talking about books at all this round, because pretty much everything I've been reading is Harry Potter. I finished the Deathly Hallows and then started again, and have also read, so I've read the Deathly Hallows, the Sorcerer's Stone, and the Chamber of Secrets, and I'm in the middle of the Prisoner of Azkaban right now. So it's like returning home, giving me a warm hug. So yeah. With that, I'll leave you with a little bit of footage of soap making and some of the nature that we've seen over the last few months. And I hope you're taking care of yourselves. I hope that you are recognizing that life is hard and that it just keeps going, you know? Beautiful things happen and hard things happen, and I think the most important thing is just that we take care of ourselves and take care of each other, and just bring a little bit of comfort and joy to the world. So I hope wherever you are that you are enjoying the change of season, whether that is heading into winter or heading into summer, but hope you're taking a little bit of time to reflect on what 2021 has brought and what you want to do in 2022, and tell everyone that you love them, and give them hugs, and yeah, don't take it for granted. All right, with that, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you soon. Bye. you.